Welcome back to Wii Games. I'm Alex, your local board game guru, and today we're going to be diving into a classic board game. That's right, it's Backgammon. This game right here has been out for thousands of years, and quite frankly, it's a really fun one. It's a dice game that combines a bit of strategy with a bit of luck, and overall, it's a great time. So, let's dive right into it. In the game of Backgammon, each player is going to start off with 15 of these checkers in one of two colors for two players. Next, you're going to have 2 dice for each player as well. This set comes with a leather dice cup, which always amplifies the game experience, and a multiplication die right over here as well. Now, we'll get into each of these pieces and how they help you win in just a moment. To set up the board, you're going to want to place them like so. You're going to want to place these checkers on these pips, which is another word for long triangles that we see here on the board. The goal of the game is to take all of your checkers and move them across the board into your home section, where then you can begin bearing off, which is another word for taking your pieces off the board. The first player to get rid of all of their pieces wins the game. So how do you determine who goes first? Well, it's really easy. Both players will take their dice, put them in their dice cups, and roll to see who goes first. Whoever has the higher number will be the first player. So, what do you do on your actual turn? Well, it's quite simple. You take your dice, put them in your dice cup, give them a roll, and throw them out, like so, onto the table, and depending on what you roll, that's how far you can move one of your pieces. As you roll your 2 dice, imagine it like this. With your 2 die, you could use either both of them and combine the amount to move your piece that many spaces, or you could use each of the dice individually to move 2 different pieces that many spaces. What I cannot do is take my piece and try to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the 5th space, can't move it over here on this stack of pieces because this is blocked. If you're lucky enough to roll doubles, congratulations! You get to take the value of your dice, so in this case, a 4 and a 4, and you get to treat it as if you rolled 2 4s and another 2 4s. So, you can move one piece up to 16 spaces, divide all 4 dice into 4 different pieces, or do whatever you want. If what you roll cannot produce any legal moves, then, unfortunately, your turn ends. Speaking of legal and illegal moves, how about I tell you about some things that you are and aren't allowed to do? First of all, if you have 2 or more checkers on a single pip, like this pip right over here, then those pieces cannot be captured. Capturing happens when a player only has 1 of their pieces on a pip, and then you roll the exact number to land on that space. If the pip only has 1 of the opponent's pieces on it, then you can take that piece and move it to the bar. The bar is almost like a penalty area where any piece that gets captured gets moved to the very center. You just have to be careful though, because when you capture a piece, all of a sudden, you've only got 1 there as well. However, if you want to protect it, all you need is a second piece and place it on the same pip. If you're able to do so, then you'll be protected, because as long as 2 or more pieces are on the same pip, they cannot be captured. Now, if one of your pieces is captured and gets sent to the bar, then on your next turn when you roll, you'll have to use 1 of your 2 dice to take your piece out of the bar. So in this case, I rolled a 6 and a 2. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't put it here because there's multiple of white's pieces right here, but 2 is available right over here. So I'm going to take my 2 and place my piece right over here, and then I can take my 6 to move another one of my pieces 6 spaces. You'll always need to move if you have a legal move available. Even if it's disadvantageous for you to take it, unfortunately, you always have to make a move. Since both players are aiming to go in opposite directions of each other to get to their home base, where, as you can see on the screen, white's home base is over here, and black's home base is over here, each set of pieces will be going around the board to hopefully eventually get all 15 of their pieces into the home area. So, once you get all 15 of your pieces into your home area, you're allowed to start bearing off. You roll your dice like it's a regular turn, and depending on what numbers come up, you'll just move those pieces off the board, like so. So what happens if you roll a number, though, that is empty? Well, in that case, you just move your piece from your furthest pip, and you'll move that piece that many spaces closer to your home area. If you can get all 15 of your pieces home before your opponent does, then you win the game. If you can get all 15 pieces off the board, though, before your opponent gets a single piece off the board, then you get to embarrass them by gammon. So let's say you want to make some actual moolah off this game. Well, introducing the doubling cube. It's right here in the center at the beginning of the game. After you and your friend have made a bet, whichever player chooses to double the bet will take the die from the center, bring it to the 2 side to indicate that the bet has been doubled, and then hand it to the opposing player. Now, the other player will need to choose whether they want to accept the doubled bet or if they want to decline and end the game. If they choose to accept, then the die gets put on the 2 side and given to the other player. If they decline, though, the person automatically forfeits the match and whatever money they've bet so far. You can choose to double the die on your turn before you roll the dice. Now that the other player has the die, they can choose to double it on any of their future turns before they roll the dice. To do so, they take the 2 and bring it to the 4 side, hand it to the opposing player, and then the opposing player needs to choose whether they want to accept the new bet or say no and forfeit all the money so far. It means that not only do you lose the initial bet, but you also lose the doubled bet that you agreed to beforehand. Now, this little fight can go back and forth on each player's turn, doubling every single turn. But what happens if you reach the 64? Well, if you reach the 64, then all you're going to do to keep track of how much further you've gone, you're going to go and place the die on the 2 side again. But now the bet is worth 128 times your original bet. And you remember gammon? Well, if you get gammon, which means that you have all 15 of your pieces off the board before your opponent gets a single piece off the board, well, then that number is doubled again. It could lead to a pretty payday for one player or a devastating defeat for the other. Anyways, whether you're playing for money or just to have fun with your family, Backgammon is a great game that I highly recommend. Feel free to check out our Backgammon sets in the links below as well. Anyways, I'm Alex from Wii Games. Consider liking and subscribing the video, leave a comment if you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.